All right. Normally, I don't do too much of an intro or an outro to these conversations that I have on the podcast with guests, but I'm going to start today, I guess. I'm going to try it out. We're going to see how you guys like it. But yeah, Taylor Hinton, today's guest on the podcast. Connected with him via Instagram, and he is a personal trainer based here out of British Columbia. And so we talked a little bit about his past in terms of sports, but also just basically breaking down some of the things we do and don't like about the fitness world on social media, as well as just practical tips on how people can improve their lives. And I like his content a lot because he gives away a lot of knowledge and his expertise for free. So without further ado, let's jump into this conversation, and you guys take a listen into it, see if you kind of like his vibe, and if you do, then you can go and check out his other stuff as well. So happy Monday. I hope everybody is doing well today. Let's jump into the conversation. Love you all. Let's go, baby. What's going on, brother? How are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, man. Thank you very much. How's it? Oh, whoa. How's my audio? Am I coming through all right?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, sweet, man. How's your day going?
Dude, awesome. Went for a walk with my dog and getting ready for announcing a winner for our little challenge that we did over the last few weeks. So I've got to actually be out of here at 9:30 so I can get everything ready for the 10 a.m. call that I have going on. That's cool.
Yeah, no worries at all, man. I just wanted to kind of connect with you and kind of just chat with you about like kind of I guess what you do and figure out what you're all about. I came across, I think actually I saw like an ad on like Instagram, and I came across your stuff. I remember following you a while back, and I don't know why or how we got disconnected, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of connect with you because I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of fluff out there. I think there's a lot of people that are just trying to make a buck. And what I've seen from your content, I really like. And I like that a lot of the stuff that you do, you just like kind of just give your content away. Like you're just like, fuck it, here.
Yeah. That's sick, man. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you like reaching out and everything too, and like seeing, what I'm sharing and seeing some value in it. So that also, that means a ton. That's like the number one thing for me to continue doing what I'm doing is to be able to provide a ton of free value. So I'm always trying to make stuff as available as I can. Like for what I'm trying to do with people is, what I try to help people do is like get fit absolutely for free if they listen to everything that I say. So if they're following my content and they actually implement the strategies that I tell them to do and stuff and cut out the fluff like most things are, then they're going to get fit. They're going to get like real fit for free doing it. But then there's an element where people need a little bit more help, and then that's where I come in. So yeah, my name's Taylor Hinton for everyone listening, later on and stuff. And I'm a millennial health coach. I help millennials and Gen Xers. There's a few Gen Zers in there here and there, but I help people come up with a strategy to get fit, and I make it so easy for them so that they can continue eating ice cream at the end of the night or chocolate bars or whatever they want to have. So
fuck yeah.
I would not call it a holistic health approach, but I would definitely say it's a systematic, easy approach for people to get into the right fitness level that they need to feel confident and strong and do the things they want to do.
Yeah. And the one thing I like too is like it's not like you're selling what you're selling. And you're very transparent about it as well. I like that, like even in your Instagram bio, it's like I think you said just like helping you lose fat while eating dessert every night kind of thing.
Yeah, helping millennials create a systematic approch to weight loss while eating dessert every night.
Yeah, you said it a lot more elegant, so I like that. But what was I saying? Oh, I like that you're transparent about what you're selling, because I think a lot of people, I know, like I get more frustrated with it in regards to mental health a lot of the times, but physical health is the exact same thing. I'm passionate about both. And I see it all the time where people are like talking about health foods, health this, health that. And it's
Yeah.
like I like that you're very transparent. I don't know if this is coming across the way that it did in my head, but
Mm,
like the idea of like, yeah, it's not a holistic approach. It's very cut and dry of like, I'm going to help you achieve this because
mhm.
you can't seem to give up this.
Right.
Almost. Like it's almost like it's just more transparent because I think a lot of people are out there trying to sell like health this, health that, and their approach isn't really that like there's no definitive way of being like, oh, this isn't actually like healthy for you, but I get what you're doing. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I know what you're trying to get across. I know what you're trying to say too. And I think for like everyone who's kind of like, what the fuck exactly is this guy a health coach or is this guy like a dessert coach? Like,
Right.
um, for anybody who's like struggling with that concept, the way that I like to explain it is that like there's a lot of acute things that people like to hyperfixate on in the fitness industry and health, which is like you got to make sure that you're taking this supplement and you got to make sure you stop eating at this time, or you have to include these things in your diets. I just straight up disagree with the whole idea that you have to follow any level of absolutes. Like there's in like really when we strip this down to the bone, we don't there's no absolutes in being fit or healthy.
Mm.
And people want to when they take on a fitness journey or like a health journey and they want to improve themselves, they're forgetting that they have decades of bad habits and like this is a cultural thing. It comes down to like how you were raised, your relationship with food, and like how you treat fitness, how you think and feel about it. Like those things have massive influence on how well you're going to execute your plan. So I say all that to say people who have been struggling with their fitness, and I say fitness because there's a lot of like really skinny people out there who are trying to gain some muscle and gain confidence in that direction too. So generally people who are struggling with their fitness, they've been doing so for a decade or more. And it's not as simple as just like eat these things, cut these things out, and make sure you do this type of exercise and you're going to get your results. It's like that, sure, on the surface level, if we were all Tesla robots, would work. But we're all humans with emotions and we have like stressors and things that are influencing us on a daily basis, including the relationships that we have at home. So if we strip away everything and say, what is the absolute non negotiables for us? And then focus on those. And those absolutes for people are making sure you're eating enough protein, making sure that you're exerting yourself on a regular basis, getting enough sleep, drinking enough water. If we stick to those things only, we stick to that first, you will get 90% of everything you want out of your fitness. And then from there, it's okay, I have a digestive thing. Okay, I have an allergy. Okay, I have an injury. Okay, cool. Like, let's tweak it at that point. But first off, like, don't put the cart before the horse. Like, stop trying to eat these very special, highly expensive products, like buying Arbonne shit online from your girlfriend, right? Like, you need to just get a simple protein powder because it's convenient, not because it's better than chicken, you know? So, without me ranting too much, it's like, let's just simplify the process and get good at the basics and foundations. And then, when you need more help, then that's when you start to really niche down your strategy, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. No, dude, that's gold. This is the reason like I really fuck with the message that you have because it's that's the best way I could have put it as well. It's the exact same thing as like you see like people like even in regards to sleep, right? Like that's kind of
Mhm.
like one of those things where it's going to deeply impact both your physical and mental health. And so it's one of the things I've like low key obsessed over the last couple of years is like my sleep regimen to try and optimize my sleep the very best I can.
Mhm.
And there's so many things where it's like, oh, you're looking at screens 2 hours before bed. Oh, you ate this before bed. Oh, you did this or did that. And it's like, okay, we're probably not going to be able to check every single box. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I want to fucking sit down and play a game on my phone or watch a YouTube video before bed. So how do I
Yeah.
optimize everything else so that I can do the one thing that I want to actually do? Like
Yeah.
and it's the exact same thing with fitness as well. It's like, yeah, I love fitness, dude. I train every single day. But there is going to be times like last night where I want to sit down with my girl and have a little food. We're going to
Mhm.
have a couple Timbits. We're going to do this. We're going to do that.
Totally.
So it's like how do I optimize my fitness plan
Mhm.
to just like not let that impact me the exact same way and know what you're sensitive to. Like I know that's going to fuck my sleep up. So it's like,
Yep.
yeah, okay, then I'm just going to give myself a little grace in the morning or have a way to wake myself up. Or, there's solutions to these things because like you said, it's like we're not all Tesla robots, dude. Like we have to
Oh yeah.
it's a weird fine balance because the same mentality that like got me to the worst places in my life is that kind of like voice in my head being like it's okay to indulge right now though, it's okay to do this right now. So it's
Mm.
actually being aware when it is okay, that's the fucking
Yeah.
difficult part.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what's helped you kind of figure out the best strategy for yourself in terms of like, let's say the sleep situation that you're talking about?
Well, in regards to just like improving my sleep regimen,
Yeah, yeah.
just not having like stressful things before bed, man. Like
Mm.
just minimizing stress, I guess, would be like the
Yeah.
best because nothing's the worst. Like it's or nothing's worse than like going to bed thinking about shit that's tomorrow. Like, oh fuck, I have to send this email. I have to have this
Mhm.
conversation with this person I really don't want to have. Like whatever
Right,
it
right.
could
Like
be.
me with this podcast, you're like, "Duh, I wish I didn't
No,
invite you."
no. But it's like no, it's usually with my girlfriend. I'm usually like, oh goodness, how do I spin this in a way to try and fix this? Like I'm an idiot, but I no, I think screens before bed was definitely one of the things that I had to like limit a lot to improve my
Yeah.
sleep and making sure obviously like working out every single day is a way that you can kind of just make yourself tired enough
Hmm.
to go to do that things. But
Yeah.
having and another weird thing that I think really impacted it is I don't go in my bedroom unless it's to sleep.
Mm, there you go. Yeah, okay.
I
I've
don't
heard people
hang
do that a lot too. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't hang out in my bedroom. I'm very big on like I'm very big on routines and I'm very big on like physical spaces. Like there's something that happens in your body when you walk into a gym, when you walk into
Mhm.
a place that you sit down and read, when
Yeah.
you're having a place that like this is the place where I eat, this is the place where I sleep, this is the place just
Right.
that for me, I think it gives your brain a pretty strong cue of like, here's the cue, this is the behavioral pattern, this is it's like the what's his name's
100%.
dog, Pavlov's dog kind of
Yeah,
thing.
it's a very similar thing. Yeah. Yeah, and I would say
So
like anybody who's like hearing that going like that doesn't make any sense. Like, oh, you walk in a certain space and your body like responds a certain way. Like personally, I don't know exactly how I haven't looked into that myself and like how much data there is to support any of that, but I don't even care. It doesn't matter to me because let's just throw placebo into it and just say like, hey, if you just adopt a system where it's like when I go to bed or when I'm in my bedroom is for sleeping. There's like one other activity that's really fun that we do in our bedroom too, but like let's stick to just doing sleep in the bedroom. So that means that you don't have a TV in there. That means you're not scrolling all night. That means that you're not, fuck, I don't know, whatever else you do in your bedroom.
yeah, obviously sex is included. Yeah, sleep and sex. Those are the two
Right.
things that the bedroom's for. That's it. That's
Course. Yeah. So again, like if you have this, like if you have, even if you don't believe it necessarily, but you have like this idea of like, I'm going to use this space strictly for this activity or try to limit it to this type of activity. Like this is where I relax and read my book. And this is where like, I think that there is some merit to that in terms of just like being able to
it's
help yourself get into that state of mind that you're trying to, get into.
Yeah. Like it's like this is an intimate room. That's the kind
Mhm.
of like way I think about it. It's like this is
Yeah.
not for the outside world. This isn't for like people on Instagram and shit to be in my
Yeah. Yeah.
bedroom. Like this is
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
bedroom, dude. Like get
Yeah.
the fuck out.
Yeah.
That's the way I
Exactly.
think about it, you know? And it's the same with, like when you walk into the gym, you get the
Mhm.
feeling of, oh, it's time to train. It's like
Yeah. It's training time. Good
it's
points.
the
Yeah.
physical cue, you know?
Yeah.
Like so I think yeah, certain like just making weird certain rules like that, or like no screens in the bedroom was one of the things that it's been a contentious point of our relationship, me and my girl. But
Yeah.
it's a hard one for sure. But trying to, again, it's like there's no absolutes. Like there is
Mhm.
definitely times where I bring my phone in the bedroom, or like we'll bring the computer in and watch a movie in bed, but
Mhm.
it's just like instead of thinking of it as like, oh, I'm never gonna do this. It's like, how about just not every single day?
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
like I
exactly.
know I have to get up for work tomorrow.
Yep.
But there's gonna be rest days. There's gonna be date nights, or there's I guess it's just like kind of planning for those kind of occasions. Like it's the
Totally.
same with cheat meals, right? Like it's not like I have to avoid sugar altogether. It's just yeah, we're gonna eat clean so that when we do eat a little bit out of our diet, then it's not going to impact us as much, or at least we're aware of what's impacting us. Because I think a lot of people don't even know like what it feels like to like feel optimal in a day.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
dude, look at
totally.
you. Like, your skin's glowing. You got the great smile. You're like, oh, I'm feeling good today. Like, when you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm having a bad day. I heard
Right.
someone one time say it's like the sound a refrigerator makes. You never notice it until you hear it, like turn
Yeah,
on or
yeah.
off. And so, like, feeling good is kind of the same way. Like, I don't know if you've ever been like, well, I'm sure you've come across that in life where you're drinking too much and you should be. You're probably doing some stuff that you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
You're staying up late. You're not eating well. You're not exercising, and your body just like is like garbage. Like that. I've
Yeah,
been in places in my life like that many times. And
totally.
when you're there, you're just kind of like there. Like you're just exist. It's not like you're thinking in your head consciously like, oh, I could feel better than this. At least I
No,
wasn't.
yeah. No, and that's, like for me, my personal experience, one, I've never been huge into alcohol, and it was because like I was such a money saver when I was a kid, like out of high school. I mean, we're all working minimum wage jobs and stuff, and I moved out at like 19, 18. I moved out at 18. So like I didn't have a ton of expendable cash. And then I remember my dad telling me one time, he was like, yeah, if you drink alcohol, it decreases your physical performance by 25% the next day. And he told me that in high school. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to sacrifice, my performance in the football field because I was like, I lived and breathed football, like my dad's from Alabama. And so it was like all football all the time in my house. Um, and so alcohol was never like a huge part of my life. Like, absolutely went to some house parties in high school and like got drunk and stayed the night and all that kind of shit. Just all those like typical things you do in high school. But shortly afterwards, I mean, I remember the last time I went to a club, I was like 20 or 21 in Vancouver, and it was because it was a friend's birthday and they were going to fucking celebrities and shit. And I was like, I didn't know what celebrities was, so I'm going out and having fun. And then I walk in there and I was like, this is actually not catered to my specific taste, but that's okay. So whatever. I mean, like it was terrible. I mean, me and my friend, like I didn't drink at 20. I still don't drink. Like, I mean, Christmas is my night of the year where I'll get drunk, and that's the one day of the year where I'm like, here we go, let's have some fun. Our wedding in November, got drunk. Other than that, I mean, it's not really a thing that interests me too much because I don't want to feel like shit the next day because it costs money. Like, that's not for me. I'm like, this is not worth my money. So it just I never got into that. But I was a big pothead for a while. And for me, being a big pothead means having a few puffs of a joint at the end of the night before going to bed, like every night. It was like a religious thing I would always do. And to your point of like not feeling great, without knowing it, until I was doing CrossFit at the time. And so like very, very high endurance based workouts. And I started feeling like my lungs like burning up. Like, it felt like there was like a little flame inside my lungs. And I was pushing myself to like the limit in which you do most of the time during these CrossFit workouts. They're intense all the time. And I started noticing, yeah, like my cardiovascular was suffering quite a bit. And I was like, I need to stop smoking pot, dude. Like, I was justifying it in every way. And so I cut it cold turkey. I was like, I'm not touching this shit ever again. 6 months later, buddy offers me a joint. I have a puff with him. Okay. And then I get back into the routine of like smoking it regularly and then coming off it. It would be like a 6 month on, 6 month off thing. And eventually I was like, I need to stop beating myself up over having a joint every now and then. And I also need to not smoke it every day. So at this point now, it's like a couple times a month, go buy a little pack, a little 3 pack pre-roll thing, and then savor that for a few days and then not touch it for a couple weeks and come back to it. So that's like where I've been with it. And I've been able to balance like enjoying some pot when I feel like it, but then also making sure that my fitness is a priority and it's not, I'm not sabotaging my fitness goals. So everything in moderation.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh wow, look at that! I just made some inaccurate assumptions that we had some similarities in our growing up. But I think yeah, I was a little bit more of a degenerate than you were. You had a good head on your shoulders, man. I
Yeah, I mean, like obviously, was a jackass and stuff. Like again, like football player and like not. I was like the one of the classic jock guys in school. So it's not
mhm.
like I was like a grade A student or anybody who like people looked up to in high school. I'm sure most people who would have known me from high school and haven't seen or met or talked to me since then would probably look at me on the street and be like, "Oh, that fucking asshole!" Like, so
Yeah, yeah.
thankfully, it changed over time. I feel that way, but. Yeah, I don't think I left a great impression on a ton of people when I was, a kid.
Yeah, yeah, no, I get that as well, man. That's one of the things that still haunts me to this day. I think about at night. Those are the things I got to write down in my journal of like, oh wow, I wonder if
Yeah.
this kid ever forgave me. What a fucking piece of shit I
Call him,
was.
bro. Call him. Get it.
Yeah.
Just get it over with.
Yeah. Dude, I love that. I love that a lot, man. And even especially the idea of like the moderation. And it's funny you say Christmas because I don't drink either. I haven't drank in years.
Mhm.
And I always tell myself like, oh, maybe I'll have a glass of wine on Christmas. Christmas is the one day where it's like kind of like I feel like it's appropriate, but
Yeah.
I typically don't because yeah, my girl doesn't drink either, so
Awesome.
it's easy to just not.
Yeah.
And but I don't think like I'm not trying to like that's the one thing I always talk about as well is like I'm not trying to guilt or shame people. For me, it was just because I realized like every time I drink, I just get depressed, and I just don't want to do
Mhm.
that. So like I'm
It
not
is a
fucking.
depressant. Yeah.
And other people, I feel like maybe handle it differently. I don't know if it's like a genetic thing or I've got other things going on in my head. Probably a bit of both, but it's kind of yeah, it's just it's never been something that like genuinely makes me happy. It was always kind of something I did just as a social lubricant. The same thing you always hear, right? Like it's just it
Right.
was and it's funny too because naturally I don't even need a social lubricant. I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of the time when I'm like talking to people or anything, like most people are like, "Is this guy a little fucked up? Like, is he drunk? Is he high?" Because it's just I'm just like that. Like I just
Yeah.
I don't
You're
really
just a little fucked up all the time.
100%, dude. Yeah. I was a little blended in the brain, I guess, but it's yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I don't even need this as a social lubricant. Like it's really just
Mhm.
making me do things I regret more. And
Right.
and
Totally.
so like why am I fucking doing this? And then like you said, it's like why am I spending money doing this?
Hmm.
And you realize it's like, "Oh, I just want people to like me." That's really
Right.
that's
Yeah.
really all it
Yeah.
was for me.
Want to be a part of the group.
Yeah, 100%. And not worry about yeah, 100%. Just being a part of the group, man. So what like before you go, I know you got a couple minutes left before you jump off here, but
Mhm.
what are the things that you think would be like the biggest myths in like the Instagram fitness world or the biggest things that kind of piss you off the absolute most? Is it kind of like this idea of like absolutes and like this idea that everything's black and white and this is good and this is bad, or what would
Mhm.
you think are the things holding people back? Like they just like eat it all up on Instagram and it doesn't help them in real life.
That's such a good question, man. I mean, I think to your first question that you asked was about like what are the biggest myths? I think it's easier to identify the problems by asking like what are the biggest things that are genuinely true? Like what are the things that we can't argue against that are like what's going to be the best, most effective thing? And then everything else we can assume is bullshit. So I think that a lot of people need to just like assume that what you see online most of the time is bullshit. Especially if it's like if you are trying to identify whether or not something's right or if it's going to work or if it's maybe somebody trying to push a certain narrative or something like that. You're trying to decipher like, oh, would this be a good thing for me to try out? If you get the inclining that the person communicating to you is suggesting that this is the only way to achieve the result, then it's probably bullshit. Again, back to like the absolutes idea. Is this an absolute, I absolutely must do this no matter what? Or an absolute, I can never do this thing. I have to cut this out. I have to add this to my regime, my routine, this supplement, this food, this exercise. Anything like that that you must do or must not do should raise some red flags right away. Most supplements are bullshit. Some of them do kind of work a little bit in some capacity in certain conditions, but most of them suck. The supplements that people would have a good investment in will be protein powder because it's convenient, not because it's better than any real food. Real food proteins like eggs and meat is going to be ideal. Dairy, it's going to be way more like in terms of quality of ingredients and your ability to get other vitamins and minerals. Like go for real food as much as you can, but protein powder is really convenient and it's probably the cheapest form of protein per gram. I think it actually is definitively. So have a protein powder in the house. Creatine would be the other one. It's been studied more than protein, any other supplement. It's the safest, most efficacious supplement that you could possibly get. Everybody and their grandmother should take it, in my opinion. I'm not a doctor. You can't quote me, blah, blah, blah. Don't sue me. Ha. But I mean, I started taking creatine when I was like 10 or 11 years old, right? Because my dad was always trying to find an edge for me to be the best football player I can. And I started taking 5 grams, or it was probably like a half scoop for the first year or so, I would imagine. I don't remember honestly. But by 13, I was taking 5 grams of creatine every day in my water, and I haven't stopped, except for a couple times where I've forgotten here and there, gone on vacation or whatever, was broke as a kid and couldn't afford it or something, then I wouldn't do it. But yeah, I mean, creatine it's amazing, even for your brain. Like, there's a lot of new studies coming out in the last 5 years where it's like, hey, post-concussive symptoms can be treated or mitigated with some creatine too. It's helped people with brain function and memory. So memory recall, like it's a pretty damn amazing supplement, and it's still like one of the cheapest available. So, and yeah, in terms of supplements, protein powders, creatine, maybe a greens powder or a multivitamin can be beneficial as well. You don't have to stop eating after 8 p.m. You're not going to gain more fat. Protein isn't going to damage your kidneys unless you have, again, these are general things that 99% of the population will be able to adhere to and follow and get results. There are, of course, some specialty cases. You've already spoken to your doctor about these things, or your dietitian, your new naturopath, and they can answer, like, you have a special case, you're outside of this generalized statement, but 99% of people will be able to follow these tools and like get results. So I mean, I routinely eat like 40% of my calories after 8 p.m. because I'll just be working all day, and then I'll have a huge dinner, which will be somewhere around 800 plus calories, and then a bowl of frozen yogurt that's around 400 calories before bed. And I'll sometimes eat that as late as like 11 p.m., but there's no timeline on when automatically, if you start eating this spoonful of ice cream at 10:01 p.m., now it's just going to magically store purely as fat. Like,
Yeah,
let's
muscle
give our
production
head
shut down for today. That's it.
yeah, exactly, right? I mean, yeah, so um I don't know. I mean, that could go forever on it, really.
No, dude, I'm really thankful you said that. The two supplements I take are multivitamins and creatine. I love that you said that, dude. That's literally
I
the only
I can give you 10 more minutes if you want to keep going. I have my wife's helping out with the challenge details, so I can head off in 10 minutes if you still want to.
wicked. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, I'll keep you as long as I can, man. I love that, dude. It's funny too. I was thinking about this as you were just saying that about how like there's so many things that I feel like are like so counterproductive to telling especially women a lot of the time with resistance
Mhm.
training and with
Mhm.
the protein in the diet. Like, I feel like a lot of the time there's a lot of women out there that are like misled to think that they shouldn't be doing these things or eating these things, or they should avoid eggs because it's got too much cholesterol, or
Yeah, yeah,
those types of things. And it's
yeah,
like, no, we're literally like misleading the people we should be helping the most a lot of the
totally.
time. Like, it's so backwards. I just before I was scrolling Instagram this morning on the toilet, and I saw this post where this girl's sitting and eating. She's doing the like, look at my breakfast kind of thing, and she's got
Yeah,
like
yeah,
6 boiled eggs, an avocado, like a little bit of fruit, and like a green drink or whatever, and
right.
she's eating it. And then the whole comment section is like how she's eating 6 eggs, and I'm like
Everyone's
sitting
so
there like,
impressed. Yeah,
I'm like, what do you how many eggs do you guys eat? Like, what are you
yeah.
eating? Like, what the hell? Like, 6 eggs is pretty reasonable. Like,
People will freak out about somebody having 6 eggs. I have 7 eggs for breakfast every day. People will freak out about how many eggs someone else is eating, and then go fucking sit on the couch and watch TV all day and drink like a full can of like full like regular soda, eat like shit. Everything's out of a package. Like, they don't exercise. They're probably on a bunch of medications and shit. And like I stopped criticizing a lot of people's decisions because, one, they probably have a valid reason for it that I'm not aware of, and two, I don't give a fuck what other people are doing. Unless you're my client, like, and we have a strategy and you're going against your strategy, like, I'm gonna kick you in the ass. But like, let people live their life, and if they want to be critical of me, like, that's totally fine, man. Do what you want to
yeah, yeah. It's so
do.
funny, man. How yeah, everyone's looking to point the finger and judge. It's so funny, dude. It just
Yeah,
made me laugh so hard that like there literally is eating like the staple of a perfect breakfast, and people are like, "Why would you eat that many eggs?" The best comment was the farts after are gonna be bad, like things like that, like the
yeah,
diabolical farts after. But it's
that'll be
like,
true. Yeah, I'll take
yeah,
diabolical parts over having, Actually, I prefer it because then it gives me and my wife a talking point when we're walking around the house, and she gets to yell at me, and it's great.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
good.
yeah. It's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun, really. Dude, what's funny too is it's funny how like to achieve physical health and good mental health and good physical health, it's pretty much the exact same things. Have you ever made that kind of realization or like connection? I just it because I always think about like I've had multiple times where I've just had to relay this message of like you just go back to basics. Like if you literally just exercise rigorously every day, eat whole foods, like just regular ass whole foods. Like
Mhm.
if it looks like a food, you eat it. If it comes in plastic, maybe try and avoid it. Like that's
Right.
basically and you know, treat people well, love people,
Mhm.
like try not to stress, like mitigate your stress, like all of these little things is like everything you would do to achieve good physical health is the exact same thing that you do to achieve good mental health. and
Right.
and and it's so funny how people just want to overcomplicate it. Like you can get so obsessed with like even with the creatine thing. Like
Yeah.
you know well as I do. Like there's like, oh, well, should I be taking monohydrate creatine? Should I be taking this creatine? Should I take 18 grams or should I take 22 grams? Or should I take
Yeah.
it before my meal or after my meal? Before my train? And you're like, bro, just take a fucking scoop, put it in some water, and do that in the beginning of your day. Like
Yeah.
do it. Like just
Exactly.
doing it is better than not doing it because you're thinking about the best way to do it.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, about creatine, there is no real ideal time. That's a question. Beginners will ask, like, same with pre-workout. If people know that we're taking pre-workout right before a workout, 30 minutes before, then naturally somebody who doesn't know anything about creatine would ask, like, when should I take creatine? So that's like a totally valid question. The answer to that is whenever it's easiest for you to remember. So I just put it in my first water every day. And yeah, it's you just take it consistently is the most important thing. Around the whole mental health, physical health thing, yeah, it's this has been a point of contention in the past for like between me and my audience sometimes because I think people are starting to change their tune a little bit. I've started to feel a bit of a shift, with like terminologies, language, political correctness and stuff. I feel like people are kind of shifting back to what we're used to being normal with.
Reality.
As long as you're not being, intentionally offensive to somebody, then like you have your fun, do your thing, whatever. But that's a whole nother conversation. The mental health, physical health thing, they parallel each other in almost every single aspect. There's definitely special cases that people require some medication like immediately because they're in dire straits and they really need help right now. And I think that pharmaceuticals have their place for things like that, but I think it's very, very, very far and few between. Like it is not as necessary in my unprofessional opinion. I'll say unprofessional because it's outside of my scope, honestly. But from what I've
Wait,
seen
you're
from
not a doctor?
Oh, yeah. Right. I know. It's just like, yeah, I have to sometimes clarify that. And I have to be super transparent with my clients too. Like when they ask me medical questions or like even around injuries, like it's technically outside my scope to treat injuries and stuff. So I don't. We can strengthen areas around injuries for sure. That's not a problem. And I have a lot of comfort in being able to do that for people. Like I feel confident doing it, but that's neither here nor there. Like when it comes to mental health, man, like I have no issue with people again, like taking pharmaceuticals and getting help from a doctor or something when they need to. But my fucking question to that individual is, are you doing your part first? Or at least in adjacent to it. Again, if you're in dire straits and you're in that really terrible situation, and again, like I empathize with that. I haven't been there before. My dad was, and I was like his number one support. And when you're 16 years old and you're your father's number one support when they're going through mental health issues, it's a fucking stressor. It's a mind-blowing situation for you to experience as a kid who sees your dad as your hero. So that being said, I again, if you're in a situation where you are desperate and you are thinking the worst, the worst, the worst, get your help right now. Take whatever you got to take to get yourself out of that situation right now. And at the same fucking time, do the groundwork that's required, which is move your body, get some sunlight, like have engaging conversations. And you know what has also been something that I've realized has helped me at least. And I think that, I got this idea from multiple books that I read every morning, is to serve selfishly other people. So try to provide, and that's partially like, get back to the beginning of our conversation. What I do online is sharing as much as I can for free so people can get fit, providing value to other people with zero expectations of anything in return. It really, really feels good in your brain. So do more of that. Get physical activity. You don't have to go vigorously. You don't have to go sign up for an expensive CrossFit membership. Get your ass outside and go for a walk. Do some push-ups. Exert yourself. Challenge yourself to do something. Because at the end of the night, when you're tossing and turning and feeling bad for yourself, and again, worst thoughts, at the very least, if you check that box, if I got a sweat on today, I pushed myself, you are going to rest easier. I promise that. But you have to
Yeah.
fucking take care of yourself too. You can't just be like popping pills and then eating like dog shit and watching, Love is Blind for 3 hours straight on the weekend. Get outside, talk to people, move your body.
Yeah, 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 100%. Yeah, it's funny. That's I post that a couple times a week. Is like just get up, get outside, get moving.
Yeah,
Just go
totally.
for a walk if that's all you can do. Like there's been so many times where like I'll just go for a walk, and then like I'll be like, okay, at the end of this block, I'll just do like 10 push-ups. You end up
Yeah,
doing more. You end up
yeah,
doing
yeah.
a little bit more. And it's just like, wow, just literally getting the fuck outside, getting my shoes on and getting outside is it's the hardest thing is just doing that very beginning part. But
Yep.
yeah, dude, I think about that a lot because my algorithm is definitely pumped full of like mental health stuff and I hear like all this fluffy woo woo stuff all the time and dude, there's a place for that. There's a time and place for it for sure.
Totally. Yep.
But like you said, like it's really just like, dude, just move your body, eat well,
Yeah.
treat people well, like treat yourself like someone that you love or care about, like kind of like the same way that you judge like your girl or your buddy and maybe maybe you don't do it as much as I do, but I do. Like I see people do things where I'm like, I don't think you should be doing that.
Mhm.
But like we don't have that same censor for ourselves. Like there's always the justification. So I just think of it that way. It's like, dude, if you're gonna think that, criticize them either internally or externally, you should be doing the same thing with yourself. Like kind of
Totally.
hold yourself to that same standard.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, just being transparent and honest and open with yourself too, I think is like a really big step. People are really quick to judge, but then not understand that they're just as guilty party most of the time.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, dude. Especially in regards to the story you told about your dad, man. Thanks for sharing that because it is fucking. It is interesting how even yourself, you're like, oh, I've never dealt with it, but it's like, yeah, obviously, like as a 16-year-old kid, like that is quite a bit to deal with, man. So like
Yeah.
you can't really write that off, and it's interesting how like so many of us are so quick to be like, oh no, my story's not that bad. Oh no, this thing that happened to me, like this isn't impacting me, and it's like, well, it
Yeah.
kind of still is. And so like you maybe do like this whole idea of like comparative trauma of like, oh, but I don't know, man. I don't want to get started on that because I know you got to get out of here, but I appreciate that you share that, and I think that it's interesting because a lot of people, especially with mental and physical health,
Yeah.
we are so hesitant to actually like reach out for help, but
Hmm.
it does go hand in hand with actually doing the work yourself. Like it's one thing to just ingest all of this information and just like go to someone and be like, "What should I do?" But it's
Yeah.
like, okay, but then you have to actually go and do it.
100%. Yeah. I mean, like, and it's for those people who are like struggling to, jump on board or on side with what we're saying here too. It's just like, it's free. It's going to benefit you in more than just your mental health. Like if you're going to exercise because you need to, lose some weight or whatever, that's awesome. Guess what? You're going to also feel better mentally too. Like you need to take care. It's a non-negotiable part of life. If you want to live optimally and feel good about yourself, you need to exercise. So if you need to take drugs to help because you have XYZ situation that you're dealing with, do your thing. But do not think that you can just do this or to take this pill or to see this psychologist and all of a sudden everything gets better. You need to physically exercise your body too in whatever capacity you can.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny that I just remembered this one other thing I was going to say is that's the one thing that frustrates me a lot with like mental health and the stuff that's out there is the
Yeah.
same thing you were kind of saying about like the grifting of like, oh, I found the solution. You just have to buy it from me. Oh, here you
Yeah.
go. Like it's just
Yeah.
just take this supplement or take this pill or do this thing and here you go. Just take it, keep filling your prescription every single month. It's like, oh, you're not
100%.
feeling better yet? We got to up your dosage.
Yeah, we got to up it.
Like it's like,
Yeah.
okay, something's going on here. This feels a little off.
Yeah,
Maybe there's something else
exactly.
missing. But in respect to your time, man, thank you very much for coming on. Do you have anything else you want to share or anything you want to plug or anything like that?
If you're interested in learning a little bit more, you want to get some free advice or you want to get some direct help one-to-one coaching, reach out to me on Instagram. I post twice a day, every day. It's Hinton Nation underscore coaching, which is my last name, HintonAation. So there's one N that connects the two, and people will say to me in public, "Hey, Hinto Nation," and I'm like, I made the account when I was 13 years old, so I can't. It is what it is. It's locked in now. Hinton Nation underscore coaching on Instagram. Taylor Hinton on Facebook. I'm on both places. So yeah.
Brother, people can't figure that out. They need additional help. Sorry for those people, man. Love you all. Thank you very
It's
much.
awesome. Thanks so much, Mark.
Thank you, man. Have a good day. Much
Yeah,
love.
you
Peace
too.
out. Bye.
Take care.